But yo, we have a special guest in the podcast building.
Yes, sir.
My man Kill.
What's good, man?
Like, state like what you do, like for the people who don't know you.
All right. First and foremost, producer, screenwriter, father, husband, all those great things. Polo connoisseur. But my 9 to 5 is putting together after school programs in Southeast DC. I've been doing it for the past 18 years. Been in every hood you could think of DC, Simple City, Clay Terrace. Only hood I've never been in is Berry Farms. That's the only hood, and they're tearing it down now. So, but right now I'm in Wellington Park over there off of Pomeroy Road. So.
Okay. So we have a very serious topic we want to discuss today.
Yes, sir.
Your man Taquan was gunned down going to buy a soda.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy, man. And like I was saying the other day that, you know, anytime you hear about a kid getting killed, you know, you hear, oh, he was such a great kid. Even if this kid like robbed everybody and shot up everything, you know, at the funeral, it was like he was a great kid. Nah, Tay was a great kid. Like Tay didn't run with none of my knuckleheads, like none of them. It's so funny because I'm so hip hop. When Fox 5 came out to interview me, I was like, he was a solo artist. You know what I mean? He was a solo, like you only saw him by himself. He went to school, he came home from school, he walked his dog, he walked to the store, all dolo, was never with anybody else. I have 3 kids like him. My man Gerard, who is at Lycoming in Pennsylvania. My man DJ, who's at South Carolina State, and Tay was supposed to be going to UDC. They were like the 3 kids. If anybody, they hung together because they were kind of cut from the same cloth of all trying to stay away from any hoopla in the neighborhood or anything like that. Was going to the corner store to get a soda on Sunday, September 9th, and had no idea some of my other knucklehead kids were up at the store already beefing with some other cats. So by the time he got to the store and he saw them, you know, he's just dapping them up like, what's up, everything good, all right? And was leaving the store, and those other dudes started shooting. And, of course, he's the only one who got shot and killed. You know, so it's crazy that it seems like this is what always happens. That situation with Clay Terrace with the 5 cats coming in there, letting off 76 rounds, and the only person who dies is a 10-year-old little girl, you know, going to the ice cream truck. Like, it's crazy, man.
It's never the intended target.
It's never the intended target.
Not that it's right.
Right. Exactly.
But it's always somebody else.
Right. And it's crazy because, you know, I've been talking to a lot of people with DC homicide and, you know, just so many things I never thought about before. They're like, you know, number one, we all know people don't know how to shoot, you know.
Yeah, they shoot sideways.
Right. They shoot sideways or, you know, you got these little kids out here with these big guns and ain't ready for that kickback.
The kickback.
You know, so it's just that. Yeah, it's crazy to me how this just seems that this is just always the story with folk.
Okay, so are there any leads to this homicide?
Right now, we don't know. We're working with Detective Gardner with MPD, who's doing a wonderful job of, you know, trying to get the leads. But so many times when myself or Tay's mom, you know, reach out, you know, it's like we really can't share everything with you guys because we don't want anything to spill out. You know, she wants to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, that, you know, if there is someone arrested for this, that we're able to, you know, actually make them serve justice for it. So I think the hardest part for us is just that wait. You know, you want somebody arrested immediately. You know what I mean? And we all know how it is in the hood, the no snitching. You know, one of my teens came in with a T-shirt one day that said, stop telling. And I was like, you need to have a T-shirt on that says stop doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, if y'all stop doing stuff, nobody can snitch. You know, so let's get some T-shirts made up called Stop Doing, you know, so there wouldn't even be anything to snitch for, you know, especially in a situation like this when you're talking about someone else being killed. I'm like, I thought I understood the no snitching rule of if me and you were doing something and I get caught, I don't tell on you. But now it's a situation where, you know, me and you were together, you get killed, I know who did it, and I don't even tell on them too. Like, I didn't know no snitching went that deep, you know? And again, my biggest thing for Tay, and again, I'm not promoting violence in any way, so please don't take this the wrong way, but my man Saha said it once. He said, you know, if you die, would your hood ride for you? Tay wasn't part of that.
Right.
So y'all not going to ride for him either. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like you not snitching because you like, oh, I'm going to handle it. No, y'all not, because this wasn't your dude like that.
First of all, like, street justice is blown out of proportion.
Right.
First off, George Zimmerman is still walking around healthy.
Go.
Like, throw all that street justice out the window, because if it was real street justice, he would have been gone.
Care of. Exactly.
Like, this dude just graduated high school.
Was going to UDC. He wanted to study HVAC. I just got a job at Jimmy John's. I just cut his hair on Wednesday, and we were talking about what's next and how proud I was of him, because, you know, he was a regular kid, you know, cut school, you know.
Right.
I'm never painting him out to be no perfect kid, but he wasn't involved in none of that street stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he had to go to night school. He had to do credit recovery. So, like, he really worked hard, like, for this picture of him graduating. Like, he worked extremely hard for that. Like, to the point, like, when the day he graduated, I couldn't go to the graduation, and his mom called me, like, you know, Mr. Kill, don't leave the teen center. You know, you got to see Tay. Like, y'all got to see each other. Like, and when she came in, she was like, you know, we did this. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes this one so painful. You know, I've lost people to health. I've never lost anybody to murder like this. You know what I mean? Like, you're not in the game at all. You know what I mean? So it feels different. It feels like it's hard for me to process, just because I've never experienced it before. You know, I think a lot of times it's like, you know, I've been blessed that a lot of my family lives to be a good old age. You know, my grandfather was like, I think 89 when he just passed away last month. So it's like, okay, you've lived a good life, you know, but a situation when somebody so young is taken from you is just, you know, and they're not in the game. It's like, I'm just having a hard time processing this one. Yeah.
Right. Is there, like, anything you can give us involving the case?
The biggest thing is just reaching out. My bad. Nate, let me see the phone for a sec, because I got to get something. I didn't have Detective Gardner's number. I definitely want to put that out for everybody.
And where did this happen again?
This happened on Pomeroy and Stanton Road in Southeast. You could definitely contact Detective Gardner, 202-422-4066. Detective Brian Bradder, 202-497-4365, or the homicide branch of 202-645-9600, the 2800 block of Stanton Road Southeast. And the thing that I'm really trying to do now more than anything for his family is getting them out that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I never really thought about this before, but in the Nas documentary, Time is Illmatic, Jungle talks about, you know, Ill Will getting killed and, you know, Jungle getting shot, and the fact that he begged his mom to move them out of Queensbridge just because it's like, I got to walk past the spot where my best friend got killed every day. And he talked about how messed up that made him, you know what I mean, throughout time. And that's the thing. I don't want, he has 3 siblings, you know. He has a sister who's 14, a sister who's 8, and a brother who just turned 3. And they have to walk past where he was murdered every day to get to school. You know what I mean? And I don't want that to be, you know, what they have to deal with every day of their life. So, you know, I'm working with DC Homicide, DC Housing Authority, HUD Housing, everything to try to see what we can do to get them moved out of that neighborhood. So, you know, that's where we are right now, man. And, you know, just even planning this funeral for him was just, you know, hard. You know what I mean? Because, like, I wanted to make sure that his mother didn't have to do a lot. You know, his mother or his father, or really the family for the whole, you know, situation. So, you know, it's like I challenged people last week on my Twitter, just, you know, if you're not being a blessing to somebody, you know, of course, be a blessing. But even when we are blessing the people, sometimes stepping outside of your comfort zone, you know, because nothing to me about planning his funeral was comfortable at all. You know, I've never had to try to console a grieving mother. I've never been to a candlelight vigil. And I get there and they're like, Mr. Kill, you got to set this off. I don't know how to set off a candlelight vigil. So this is like over and over again, I'm being put in circumstances to be a blessing for somebody else. else but having to step outside of my comfort zone. You know, I've never had.
And you're talking to reporters.
I'm talking to reporters. You know, people in the hood like, yo, we seen you on the news the other day, Mr. Kill. You know, so it's like, you know, I've never had to plan a funeral. I've never had to sit down with a funeral home and go through everything. And you know, times when his mom would break down, and it's like, you know, I always say if I'm planning a funeral for like my family members, my attitude is very nonchalant. So it's like, you don't like something, kick rocks. I don't care, you know. But when you're planning a funeral for somebody else's family, it's like, is auntie gonna like this casket I picked out? You know, is uncle such and such gonna like the programs? You know, or you know, so you're in that situation of trying to just make sure that everybody. And the blessing is everything went off perfect, but it was a very uncomfortable situation, you know, to have to deal with. From, you know, I cut his hair. You know, I've never cut, you know, a corpse's hair before, you know, and it sounded like the right thing. We're in the funeral home, and, you know, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to cut his hair. And his dad is like, yeah, Mr. Kill, you got to cut his hair. You know, you've been cutting his hair for 5 years. And then, like, as the days moved up towards it, like, I'm shook. Like, yo, I don't know nothing about this, you know. So just even having to do that, you know, trying to explain to the family, you know, why he doesn't look like himself, you know, for the viewing, you know. And so it's like, I don't drink, but you've got that drinking game I've seen people play. I've never done any of this stuff. But in order to try to be a blessing to his family, I had to step outside of my comfort zone and try my best to be that blessing for them. So,
right.
Yeah, so it's definitely a situation, but yeah, still definitely hoping that, you know, anybody out there who has any information, and more importantly, you know, even if you don't have the information, you know, just keep the Pinckney family in your prayers, because, you know, I can't. It's one of the things that's messed up about life. Is like, your son dies, but you get 4 days of bereavement. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your job is like, okay, you may need seriously like 6 months to a year to psychologically bounce back from this. And it's like, you get 4 days, you know, and it's like right back to work, you know, and maybe if your job is nice, they give you a month, you know what I mean? Or they hit you with the, well, you know, you won't lose your job, but we can't pay you. But you still got 3 other kids that you got to be a mother to. You still got 3 other kids that you need to take care of. So it just shows you how, you know, sometimes the game is rigged, you know, because it's like, yeah, you get 4 days to bounce back from somebody being taken from you like this, you know, and then they want you to come back and do your job just as well as you would have done it before. Which anybody who loves anybody knows that that's not possible. Like, I'm not going to be able to meet that quota knowing my child is gone. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's part of the game. It's the sad part of life, you know. But, you know, and just more importantly, I just want people to know that Tay was a good kid, man. You know, anytime you read the newspapers of young black male, you know, killed, especially in Southeast, maybe Northeast, you know, you just assume, oh, okay, you know, they was selling drugs, they was doing this. Like, nah, this dude really just went to the store to get a soda, you know. So I think that's the most heartbreaking thing, too. And the craziest thing is, a year ago, a week almost to the day, one of my other students, Myangelo Starnes, was murdered in the building of my teen center. Because my teen center is in the basement building of one of the apartments, and he was coming in the top floor, and he was shot and murdered. You know what I mean? And they still there wasn't any arrest in that, you know, from a year ago, you know, which is crazy. And then when Tay got killed, I'm just like, man, yo, I remember Myangelo got killed, you know, a year ago, you know, and it made me reach out to his grandmother, you know, just to see how she was doing. But the craziest thing is, like, to this day, you can still see the bullet holes in his building from where he got shot up, you know. So it's like housing didn't even replace the poles or anything. Like, it's still bullet holes throughout the building, which is just, you know, it's crazy, because then the challenge becomes, what do I tell my other kids? Like, Tay did it the right way, and he still got murdered. You know what I mean? So what do I tell my 10-year-olds up to 18-year-olds? Like, do it the right way for what, Mr. Kill? You know, don't get in trouble, don't run with these people for what, you know? Because it's not like I'm gonna be able to make it out. Our neighborhoods really don't look at education as an important key to life. But now, especially after this, it's like, you know, I always said from working in Simple City, one time I was at my teen center over there and my kids were playing spades and somebody walked in like such and such got killed. And this was like they mans or whatever. And they like took a pause in the game like, word, psh, that's messed up. And just went right back to playing spades. You know what I mean? And it kind of showed me that these kids don't think they're going to live past 18, you know, so they're starting a bucket list at 14, you know, so that's why the same way, God forbid, if somebody told us we got a year to live, I ain't thinking about no bills and no mortgage. You know, I'm
right.
Be doing everything I want to do. And that's what a lot of our kids in these communities are doing because they don't think they're going to live past 18. So they're stealing cars, having sex, doing whatever, you know, that they want to do that seems exciting, you know. And one of the things I do with my kids is try to have them make a mission statement for their lives. So at least when they have these decisions to make, like, okay, well, I'm going to go steal this car. But if your mission statement is, you know, I want to be the best veterinarian in the DMV, like, does stealing that car help you accomplish that? Like, no. So then prayerfully they won't do that because so many of my kids really don't have anything to base it off of. They're just like, sure, why not? You know, my girls have sex with 10 guys. Like, sure, why not? You know what I mean? Like, nobody loves me, so I'm going to get pregnant so my baby will love me. You know, I've got 10 of my girls right now are pregnant or just had kids.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, and we do, you know, sex education with them. We have different places. We have Teen Metro AIDS, Planned Parenthood. We have different people come out 4 times a year so they're not hearing the same voice over and over again, beat them in the head, and they're still getting pregnant. You know, they're still not using protection, you know. So one of my, I ain't even gonna say that, but yeah, it you know, my kids have a very, you know, it's sad, you know, and I try to always tell my peoples who have kids and things like that, I always try to school them on like the new thing that's going on in the hood, because for the average part, the only time the average adult or parent is in the school is when it's time for a parent conference or if their kid did something bad. So they really don't understand, you know, what the new thing is with these kids or what the new hoopla is that they're trying out. So I always try to at least school other parents on, you know, you need to check with your kids on this and you need to check with your kids on that. Because trust me, man, I got 4th graders and 5th graders doing some things that in our day we wasn't doing until like 11th and 12th grade. They doing that at 4th grade now, you know. So the game has changed, man. The game has changed.
Is there a reward?
There is a reward, $25,000 from DC. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, I know the Masons put up an extra, I can't remember if it's an extra 5 or an extra 10 on it. So the reward is anywhere from $30,000 to $35,000, more than what some people I know make in a year. So prayerfully, you know, someone will step up. Talking to the homicide detective, you'd be shocked at how many rewards are just still there, man. You know, and just it amazes me, this whole no snitching thing. And trust me, I get it. You know, I lived in Baltimore for years, and I remember there was a time when, you know, a family had told the police about the local drug dealers and they firebombed their house. So like, I get it. I get the whole, you know, being in fear, and I know the police can't protect you, but just in situations like this, I just feel like, you know, come on, somebody knows what happened. Somebody was out there. Somebody knows something. So, you know, prayerfully, we will getting into this. And it's one of those things, again, where, you know, I'll be the first to admit, when I would see people saying things on the news like, you know, I'll just be happy when we find out who did it. You know, prior to this, I always thought in my head like, well, what does it matter? You know, the person is gone. But now that I'm a part of it, I understand. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's one of those things where sometimes in life it just has to happen to you for you to really understand. Because at the end of the day, I always was just looking like, well, your loved one isn't here. You know, is that really going to help you feel better? And I don't know, even if we found a person, I don't know if it will make me feel better. But I do know, I do understand now how other people feel where you just want justice. It may not make you feel better in the end. You know what I mean? But just to know that, but there is a thorn in your side that's just like, and this person is still living their life. You know? So I know for me, at least for now, that's how I feel like, yo, if you took my man, I need you behind bars. I don't need you out here living your life, you know, doing you. So again, prayerfully, you know, somebody will say something. But again, man, I just challenge everybody out there. If you know, be a blessing to somebody, step outside your comfort zone. Just don't say, all right, I'm gonna give you a ride to the bus stop. No, give them a ride home. You know what I'm saying? You know,
right.
If you know a family member needs 100, don't just give them 50. Like, step outside of your comfort zone, because trust me, I think I'm a good dude, and there are times that I'm guilty of staying in my comfort zone of what I'm willing to do. You know, but if you really want to be a blessing to somebody, you have to step outside of your comfort zone.
All right, man. Thank you.
Nah, thank you, man. I truly appreciate you giving me this platform. I appreciate you reaching out to me. That's huge. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I'm on Twitter reaching out to the Washington Post, reaching out to this person, reaching out to that person for them to come out. So for you to reach out to me to say, Kill, let's find this dude, that means everything to me, for real, man. I appreciate that.
No problem. Just before you leave, give the numbers out for the detectives.
No doubt.
For information on this case.
That is going to be... The detective, we got Detective Stephanie Gardner, 202-422-4066. Detective Brian Bratter, 202-497-4365. Or the Homicide Branch of MPD, 202-645-9600. Again, this is for Taquan Pinkney. He was murdered on the 2800 block of Stanton Road Southeast.
All right. We're going to stop this part of the program and, you know, go to a little something more uplifting a little bit.
No doubt.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Justice for Taquan.